Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The gen brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shitty clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. Almost God craves the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win. Even if I lose it all again.
What's up, guys? Oh, let's make sure the audio is working. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Okay. How you guys doing? We got Maria, first one to message. Pluff, how you doing? Stefan, good morning. Daniel, Mahazen, Blue Star Effect, Trip, Coma, Steerding, how you doing, Steerding? I got Pluff, Madara, Radera. You feeling numb to the jump at this point? Yeah, I hear ya. Just keeps getting us one leg down after one leg down after one leg down. Yeah, zooming out on the daily here. This is kind of like what happened. This was we had this previous area of support right here, where we also had a lot of buyers volume before we came down below it and using it as resistance. And like we held it for a little bit right here, right? We had a decent bounce off of it, but then we had a rejection off of the previous valley area low for this 97-day range right here. So when that acted as resistance and we got acceptance within this valley area, we started falling down. So we did mitigate an order block. We tapped into a daily order block that's right here. But we have a little bit of support left off of these, lows and these previous highs right here. So it's not the end of the world. We got a little more room that we could drop. We could come down to like 78K, maybe even 74K. But structurally right now, it does look like we're trying to paint the picture that we're trying to reverse again. We had that kind of picture being painted before, but yeah, like I said before, we hit our head off that previous valley area low as resistance at a local valley area high right here. And during this moment when we came up, we got that bearish change of character. That'd be a warning sign to at least get out of your long, like the long that we got in over here. Then we came down to the valley area low, and then we actually ended up using these previous lows right here as resistance, like building a little supply barrier. And then when we came up to retest that supply barrier, we got driven right back down. So right now as we speak, we just hit this supply not too long ago. I was signaling to prepare to short based off of this posture right here. We had a double top forming. We SFP'd right off this VWAP. We have a supply right here. I was waiting for the bearish change of character to bring us down to potentially as low as this level here. But we lagged up a little bit, so I didn't signal the short after we hit this supply because we didn't have VWAP on our side that time. So I didn't signal it because I didn't really feel confident enough to have 200 plus people follow me into a short on that. But here we have we flipped bullish ever since we broke above this leg here, which is great. And internally here, breaking this level here also helped. So you can pull a fib from the low to the high, get your right settings. We can see that we just tapped into a golden pocket. We have the 786 level, and this is also the ceiling of a 30-minute order block. So we have some reason to prepare for a potential reversal here, but if we don't get it, I'll be okay with that because we would have another opportunity down here for a long that would likely give us better risk to reward ratio anyways. So we're waiting to see if we get a bullish change of character off this level, but like I said, kind of prefer it to happen down here. We still have like a 3-minute order block down here, liquidity below these lows that we could sweep. So we'll see what happens first. The bullish change of character here, or if we get it here. And we'll be targeting these local highs while watching out for the VWAP along the way. What we got right now, we have a order block that is flush with the VWAP. So that confluence could drive the price to come right back down. Like we might even get the bounce now. Get that bullish change of character right here if we break this level. But we'll be right into an order block and a VWAP, so I wouldn't touch it. So just the back. But yeah, today we're doing the giveaway. Let's see what we got in the chat. We got the giveaway today. We have our Black Friday sale going on today too, for 50% off for life. Are we officially in the bears? From my thumbnail. The thumbnail is mainly an expression of what's going on, but I personally still don't think that this is the bear market. I think that this is a evolving bull market. We have retail leaving, like a lot of retail leaving, institutions staying. Based on on-chain data, that's what's kind of going on in the background. So well, retail leaving, it's likely leaving because of the cycle pattern. We're kind of at that stage where we'd expect the cycle to end, right? The time-based cycle of 4 years. But yeah, based on the on-chain data, we're not really we're not overheated or anything like that. We have lots of new investors coming in. But yeah, most of those investors are people who are interested in buying more than 10 Bitcoin. So likelihood of them all being institutions or companies is a lot higher than being retail. But yeah, we have a good strong support level that we're kind of approaching right now that we can cause a reversal. And the on-chain data is suggesting that we should be having a reversal soon. I am watching some signs, of course, that we could come down, but we start capitulating pretty darn soon. Like we're already approaching that already. which is insane to me considering the price that we're at. Because the last time we were in a state of capitulation was down here when we had this leg right here. From this moment down, we were capitulating for Bitcoin. Now it's at like 30 some K. And from about, this is an estimation based on like the data that we have, but I would say we'll be capitulating like between like 70K and like around like 62K is where we'll start seeing a state of capitulation. So I'm not sure if we'll even make it down that low, but that is the equivalent to being at a bear market bottom, which is kind of bizarre to me. Like all the on-chain metrics kind of meeting bear market conditions like that close to our current price action. When I say bear market conditions, I mean like bear market bottoms, not like the actual bear market starting. Okay, what do we have going on in the chat? We have... Can we check on pump? We can take a look at that. Yep. Riding the beast since 85K. Nice job. What's up, French Toaster? How you doing, man? USD dominance almost at Model 2 target. Excited to see if we get to 74K on Bitcoin. Nice job. All this AI and tech bubble talk, spooking retail. Yeah, man. The news will always try to shake people out. Your Christmas is looking like paper to print out resumes at the point to hunt through wallets to survive. Yeah, getting squeezed out. It sucks. Do you think we can do a Wyckoff accumulation for the next 2 months again down here? Well, yeah, the last time we were down here, it was like a 3-month consolidative state, right? And this is when we were in like we're really low in the fear and greed index. Yeah, we could have something like this again, of course. We were here for like 43 days before. If we look at like on chain really quick. Let's refresh this time here. Yeah, both times I think we were arranging for a while in this in the optimum state. So here we're about 38, lower than that. Yeah, we're lower than that. Yeah, 35 on the Nupal chart. And we haven't been that low since Bitcoin was at 32K. That's wild. But yeah, when we got to these lows on the Nupal chart, we range from like March. Oh, let me just messed up my click poll there. Yeah, we range from like March to April, and the time before that we were ranging from August to around September. Yeah, so we could range for a few months, man. Yeah. The longer we range, technically, the healthier it is, and the lower this chart will become, even if we're stabilizing in the same price point. Right. So if we just keep ranging, maybe either against the previous value area low before eventually getting acceptance into it, beating like 93K, we can range against that supply that was just created. This is all hypothetical, of course, but like, yeah, this would be a good spot to prepare for the ceiling of a potential like longer term range before eventually reversing, getting acceptance to that valley area, and then rotating to the valley area high at 100K. But yeah, I agree with you, man. This would be a good spot to prepare for the the first strong pullback at the supply zone here, or something like that. Let's see how we got. Yeah, right now the bullish key level on the 3 minutes right here on this white line. I'm hoping that it rotates lower so we can get a better key level to long off of. Like this is, I don't like longing into that. Just hit our head and likely just come right back down. Your zoomed out chart looks like hell. Yeah. I got cleaner macro charts, like much cleaner macro charts, but my short-term like trading scalping chart is a complete mess when you zoom out on the daily. This is a macro chart here that I created a long time ago, probably about 6 years ago, maybe 5. But this guy has just got its first red candle created the other day. The last time where we kind of like dipped into it, converting from green to red, from getting below the Gaussian moving average, was here during the last bull cycle top, when we call the top from like the on-chain metrics being met around here. We had that brief moment where we started to run back up before eventually, starting to close below it, getting below the Gaussian, converting the Gaussian from green to red, and we started going to a bear market during that. So I'm hoping, of course, that doesn't happen again. The on-chain metrics are going against the idea of this being a bear market, but doesn't mean we can't go low and then reverse to come up to continue to higher highs. But yeah, what I don't want to see is a Gaussian channel act as resistance as well, but that would come with the confluence of us coming up to return to that supply zone that I was talking to you about there, Wagner, and then causing us to reverse and getting a lower low. That would be like, pretty rough conditions. And that can bring us down to around like 65K based on this chart. Yeah, this thing's been pretty cool. It's been helping me. You guys have access to this inside the Discord, but basically, this has helped me like know when to prepare to accumulate. It's not the best chart for calling the tops. Like on-chain metrics are great for calling the tops, but this thing's amazing for preparing to call the bottoms. Like when we get below the weekly 200-day EMA, and this is a 300 weekly. This is where the best time to repair. And if you combine this with on-chain analytics, we knew that we started to capitulate around this area. So you start preparing for your buy entry, like the bullish daily change of character, which didn't occur until around here, but we ran it down here when we had this internal double bottom within a macro double bottom. But yeah, it looks scary, but honestly, the on-chain metrics suggest otherwise. So I'm just going to listen to the on-chain data and just hodl my Bitcoin. I would say that I'm not in a rush to sell my Bitcoin, but I do kind of want the bull market to eventually end so we can get that, so we can cash liquid again and just focus on like USDT growth with like short-term scalping trades and stuff like that. Like I am planning a macro short, but I need to have all of my on-chain metrics to be met for something like that. But yeah, so right now, locally for Bitcoin, before we move on to altcoins, I'm looking for preferably like a bullish change of character after sweeping these lows, and then start targeting any supply zone warnings along the way, but eventually targeting the highs of the range. And just treating each supply zone along the way up as an area of concern that could induce a reversal to come back against me. We could get the bounce, prior to this. Like we do have this confluence here that could, build a wall, get that bullish change of character. But I'm not confident that we'll go much higher than this. So I'm not taking this bullish change of character with all the confluence in our face that could, bring us right back down. So I'm hoping for that lower low, and we can just continue to rotate down a little bit more. Either the lower side of this, like around the 786, or from the sweep. So we can get at least an R&R or some distance away from this barrier so we can be reactional in an area of profit instead of an area of like basically a break even. And so if we end up getting forced out in an area of profit, then we'll just take the small gains instead of the larger gains that we were aiming for. Okay. Let's see, got in the chat. Good morning, JB. Ghost Hunter, what's up? The best explanation I've heard is retail doesn't have extra cash to buy the debt. Everyone is in debt. Yeah, there's the stimulus check coming out. And you're right about the debt for sure. The stimulus check will probably induce a reversal with a combination of how it'll damage the U.S. dollar. Well, there's going to be inflation. Whether it's, I know like people argue that it's not printed money. It's given from like the tariffs. Basically, they're allocating the tariff income and giving everyone a dividend. But when people are given a bunch of money, that's also still a form of inflation because it'll increase problems with demand. People will be able to buy a bunch of stuff worth that $2,000, and that demand will also increase the cost of goods. But we'll see if it happened. What happened last time we started having those stimulus checks back in like around COVID, we saw the equivalent amount being deposited into exchanges of like $1,500 totals, like over and over and over again. So if this $2,000 dividend payout gets given to like U.S. Citizens, then I think, yeah, we might see something like that again, where people buy a bunch of Bitcoin and then the inflationary damage will also cause an inverse correlation impact from the US dollar towards Bitcoin that could also pump Bitcoin. And it's not just the US that are planning stimulus checks either. Like China and Japan, stuff like that are too. IOZ, I have a huge bag, down 8%, deciding what to do. Oh, that's rough, man. Yeah, we can take a look at that. Happy Friday. What's up, Jay Becker? Karma updates. I actually emailed CoinMarketCap to see what's taking so long, because we're past, like, I believe we're past the 90-day period. If there's anything that we need to do with our APIs or anything like that, like basically we're just waiting on an answer from them. But it does look like we're like already like half approved based on like certain things that occurred, like our price feed showing up in MetaMask and all that stuff. So it's looking like everything's good. It's just, yeah, they're kind of slow. So I just sent them a message just in case. Okay, let's go through a couple of these requests and then we're going to do the giveaway. So I'll do 3 requests and then we'll do the giveaway and then we'll go back to looking at some TA for some altcoins. We had a request to look at, where are we? Pump from JDR things. So let's look at pump. I don't think we have a pump chart, but we could always pull it up through my current layout. Yeah, we don't. Okay. So Bybit. All pump has done is dump. So let's see if we got some kind of reversal indicator. Okay, let's clean up some of this noise. So I'll click Control and drag. If you press Control and you drag, you can highlight multiple anchors and just delete a whole bunch of stuff at once. There we go. There. Now all we got left is just our all-time high TA on here. We got our macro downtrending momentum. See, we swept these previous lows with this wick here. We can mark this low. The thing is, it's all been mitigated mostly from the October 10th crash, right? We still should mark the levels though. From a crash like that, it's relatively illiquid, and some people are still likely to react to those levels despite them being mitigated or not. So if that's something that's kind of messing with you with some assets where you see this wick that normally is taking lows that you haven't really seen swept yet, yeah, still treat them as swept, but just make sure you wait for that additional extra confluence, because everything that we're trading right now for this asset, ever since this crash, is internal between this high and this low. So this is all internal price action, and it does really mess with people's heads sometimes. So here we got our key level drawn that we swept already. We can mark up. Let's go to the 4 hour really quick. We got a 4 hour order block here, tapped or already mitigated. We have internal momentum here. Getting close to that all-time low sweep before the October 10th crash. So we're bearish on the 4. Where's our 4 hour key? Internal. 4 hour internal level. It's way up here. Going to the 15-minute. We're coming up to retest this previous low. These are often used as a form of resistance. We got an order block just up here. Mark your lows. I usually just label them as like local resistance. I go back to like the 5-minute. Building a rising wedge. Our 5-minute bearish key level is here. It could become higher. Actually, it likely would become higher with the recent highs here. So we can come down, retest this, create a higher high, get the bearish change character, have VWAP against us for our short, and then start targeting these lows again. We got a little baby order block here. We got like a 30-minute here, but I don't think it was tapped. Let me just double check. Yeah, it has not been tapped. Okay. So we got a few 30 minutes below us that are not mitigated. Okay. And when we establish the high through a bearish change of character, then you can start pulling a fib from the low to that high. We don't have a confirmed top yet, so we can't pull this yet. But once we confirm a top through a bearish change of character, then you can pull a fib and see if there's any layers of confluence with the order blocks that we discovered and the Fibonacci retracement tool. So right now, if this was the high, our golden pocket would be here, and our 786 would be here. This is my favorite zone level on a golden pocket retracement. So the layer, yeah, the ceiling of where the golden pocket is the floor of this order block, and the floor around here is within this 30-minute here. So I'd recommend just boxing this as a zone of interest, because you're gonna have two stacked confluences in this zone. So I just delete the order blocks and just label this once we establish the high. Like right now you can't, but once we establish the high, then you can do something like that, and then prepare for a long to bounce off of that area. Well, that's the local price action for pump. I hope that helps. But yeah, right now the macro conditions still suggest that we're going to keep continuing to go down a little bit. We're testing this previous low. This is like a large supply concern. And we're currently getting exhausted in the RSI with this ascending rising wedge. And those normally break to the downside because of how it induces liquidity mostly to the downside as we take liquidity from the upside. So hopefully we get a better key level just by getting 2 candle pullback and then a higher high. And then we can use that as our level of interest for preparing for a short. Or you can sit on your hands and wait for the conditions for a potential long back at these lows for like a short-term scalp. I'd recommend, having Bitcoin on your side. If Bitcoin prepares a reversal, like use that pairing confluence to help you with your short. Okay, let's see. We're about to get that change of character. There it is. Just need to close above that area. And that's a reversal warning. But like I said before, I'm worried about this causing a rejection and bring us right back down. Like, I don't like jumping into a long with a VWAP right in my face, or a short like this one here. Even though this worked out relatively well, I still don't like jumping into a short with a VWAP right in my face. We have here an IOZ. Yeah, we can look at that next. Can we look at XPL and Solana? Okay, cool. Yeah, we can look at them. All right, let's look at AIOZ. That was the first request. I don't think we have an AIOZ chart. No, okay. Pathing that I'm preparing for right now. Let's hit our head off this and come right back down. AIOZ, USDT. Pull this up on KuCoin. So you said you're down 80% on this, eh? Weed price discovery? No, okay. We're on a line. Man, there's not very much holding us up. Okay. Not a very convincing order block. Oh, this one's a lot better. Than these previous highs. All right, let's take a peek. So we're at the bottom of this demand zone that's kind of been holding us up for a while. We had this little guy. I'm going to keep AIZ up for a little bit, but we fully mitigated it during this moment here. Then end up going into the grab liquidity from this supply zone and come right back down. We could pull a fixed range following profile from the start of this demand since we mitigated it to our current price action. Let's double check on the road size here. Okay, we're good. We got broad momentum over here. And then internal momentum here. Technically, we don't need this. Let's keep it here for now. Got a daily opposing bearish order block here. Okay, let's zoom in. See how we're doing, because this is like the last little piece of demand that this asset has left before we could fall down to much lower levels, like cut in half, like 50% from here kind of thing. So right now we're at 10 cents, but yeah, like I said, we could fall down like about 45% on this thing because we don't have very much holding it up after where we're at right now. So this is a huge make it or break it moment for AOIOZ. If we look at the local price action, we have no proper pullback on the 15-minute time frame until way up here. Well, I guess it's here. Well, the good news about this bullish break, if we get it, get that bullish change of character, we'll be above the VWAP. We'd have mitigated the 15-minute order block. We've swept the low of the last little piece of demand that we've got left from the macro demand zone over here. So this is kind of it. This is kind of the last little key level it's got before it can come down and get wrecked, honestly. From here, we had to treat, a lot of barriers along the way, of course. Seriously, this is the, this previous low here that could act as a form of resistance. So you can mark your local resistance here at 11,938. I don't know where your stop loss guard will be just yet. Hopefully you have some kind of internal pullback before breaking this high so you can have a decent stop loss guard. But we'll see what happens. Right now it's not looking too good for R&R, but this is an important key level that you'd want to see broken today so we can at least start some kind of evidence of support. It might not be the last bounce down here, but it would be a good bounce to occur so we can induce liquidity, at least at these lows, so they can be used as buy-side liquidity to help cause reversal. Going to the hourly for a second. Yeah, in order for it to flip bullish on the hourly, we need to get above, like way up here at 12. Like so past this little local supply concern and local resistance and above this level. Bitcoin, how you doing, man? Doing exactly what we thought it would do so far. Yeah. So we mitigate that order block, hitting our head off the VWAP. That's the only, I just don't trust it. Okay, next request was Solana. What's up, guys? Finit team, how you doing? You desperately need a giveaway. I'm broke. Well, I hope you win then. Let's see what happens. I will get that ready actually. So we looked at enough assets, so I'll do the giveaway now, and then we'll continue on to some TA on other assets. Just got the login. Okay, Control C. Gotta get the video ID. There we go. All right, guys. So I'll get this up here. All right. So I just need you guys to type the word giveaway, and then you could win. For this, the first giveaway, we'll give away at the $6,000 Klein funded account. So you could win a free account to trade with. DJ33P on Bitcoin, where is that VWAP anchored? It's the daily VWAP, so it's anchoring to the day, automatically resetting after daily candle closes. Not like the anchored VWAP is great, but I'm just not currently using it right now. It could be great if you use the anchored VWAP like from the all-time high. Right now would be a good time for something like that. I'll pull that one up and see what it looks like. So far in the giveaway, we got Maria, we got Xbox 98, Sterling, Mikey, Steamworks, Jay Becker, Ghost Hunter, Remus, Cornex, Mazen, DJ, Jeet, Sean, Coma, Pluff, Richmond, Andrew, Maxwell. I don't think you guys want to hear me read this all out loud. But yeah, all you gotta do is say the word giveaway, and you'll start get added to this list. You got added there, AEW. Or I'll give it another minute. How's Bitcoin doing while we wait? Or bouncing off the downtrending momentum. This momentum here came from the moment where we hit our head off supply and confirmed that we're leaving this valley area. We recently broke it this morning. Well, we hit our head off the supply and it came back down, so the momentum has shifted. The pace of the buyers are starting to come back, which is great. This was mitigated. Be close above this and get the breaker structure. We could get the move back to the local high. Stop loss below the pullback. To close above VWAP. Okay, guys. I'm gonna see who won the giveaway and go from there. Okay. Go to draw page. Pick a winner. And Corno ZYREV. Okay, so you won the $6,000 account from Klein Funding. This is an instant funded account, so that means you don't have to like pass a test or anything like that. You just gotta, I'll give you a link, you create the account with them, and then I just need your email address to make sure like we get the account funded from them. I'll screenshot this. I'll make the announcement in the Discord, and then all you gotta do is just send me a message within the Discord, and I'll get back to you and get you all set up. Congrats, man. Save this note really quick. All right. All right, cool. And let's do a free month giveaway to the community. So I'll close this. Pick another winner. Sterling. Well, Sterling, you don't count, bro. Okay. You work with InvestShare. You're not gonna get charged for InvestShare. But I don't know. I can only screenshot that. I'm gonna pick a different winner. I'll give you a fist bump instead. How about that, bro? So we got BarrowTube 24. You got a free month of joining the community. If you're already a member and I just don't recognize your handle on YouTube, then just I could still give you a free month just by like putting in a code into the system for you. All right, cool. Congrats, guys. Corno ZYREV, you get the free $6,000 account to help you fund it, get funded for trades. Then you just move the profits that you get from that account into like your regular exchange so you can build yourself up. and you're good to go. Yeah, we might get that break of structure and rotate back up to these highs and close above VWAP and confluence with that. But yeah, if you're going to use an anchored VWAP, there's a lot of good opportunities for something like that. When we're starting an uptrend, when we're starting a downtrend, you can draw like a anchored VWAP from that moment. You get your anchored VWAP here. There's lots of cool strategies with the anchored VWAP. You can anchor it to the month, you can anchor it to the day, you can anchor it to the week. Me personally, I enjoy anchoring it to the trend if I'm using an anchored VWAP. Otherwise, I'm usually using just the daily VWAP. And its average is at 105.7K. So when we come up there, you treat that area like, especially if it's with an area of confluence, like an area of liquidity or an order block, or right now, currently it's like almost flush between the 200 and 50-day EMA that we recently just got a death cross on, by the way. You can do stuff like that. But yeah, the daily VWAP is the one I use the most. We got in the chat. So we can start going back to the TA. Let's find out what... So someone said they're struggling with... So we looked at AOIOZ. We looked at... we got a request to look at Solana and XPL. Your luck dried out. I'm sorry. I was hoping that you'd win. You're always here, so there's a good chance that you're gonna win one soon. Luckily, we have it like coded in a way where there's no repeat winners, right? And I'm not super big yet on YouTube, so there's not much competition with who you're competing against for trying to win. But yeah, congrats to the winners. And here we come. So if you're in on this long for any reason, then our next little key area that you got to watch is up here. We can come right back down from up this area. She only tapped into the supply. And right now we're tapping into a 10-minute order block. Okay, let's go to Solana. I haven't looked at Solana in a couple days. I can pull it up here. Yeah, last time we were talking about Solana was this long here. Being at the valley area, we deviated from the valley area low. There's a confluence with Bitcoin as well for reversal. Our bullish key level was here that we wanted to have broken. When we broke it, we came up, retested, got the higher high. So there's the break of structure follow through entry with a stop loss guard here, or there's the change character entry with your stop loss down here. Watching this supply zone along the way, we kind of had a bit of a pullback, broke through it, broke this downtrending momentum, got acceptance into the valley area during this moment when we had this break of structure off the valley area low. That's the form of proper acceptance we want to look for expecting for a rotation up to the valley area high, which we got. And in confluence with that valley area high, we hit our head off of a 252-day previous point of control. Had that bearish change of character here. And then we pulled back a little bit and finally broke the VWAP, which is the safer entry. The stop loss guard here. If you didn't take the safer entry and you entered off just the break of the neckline, your stop loss would have been here. We fell right back down to the valley area low. Had no evidence of us seeing it honored as a form of support. That's why you wait. You don't limit order in. You wait to see how we react to the levels. And then we end up using the valley area low as resistance, similar to what happened with Bitcoin. And we kind of just fell down from there. So here we're at the valley area low to the point of control that we hit our head off of. It's a macro previous point of control. It's a pretty big one. So from this valley area low here to this valley area high here, this was a previous range historically for Solana where we had a lot of interest. So if I zoom out on the daily, you can see what I'm talking about. It's from this guy right over here. So we have lots and lots and lots and lots of interest at this valley area low for buyers to step in. You see we consistently use this massive demand zone here as support, create a range off of it, and we could honor it again as support just as we did the last 2 times we came down to revisit this area. And you can target the valley area high from there, but we have a supply zone right in our face here that could prevent us from going that high. But we're kind of at the area where we can prepare for the front run, for front run moves that could bring us back up to these highs. So let's see what we have in the 15-minute. We have, let's update this. We don't need this anymore. We can move this over here. 130, yeah, 135, 81. We're building that kind of like an awkward, ugly model 2, or Wyckoff, sorry. So our change of character levels up here on the 15-minute. We can delete this. Let me pull a fib from this low to this high. Did we get the bounce off? Yeah, we got the golden pocket 786 bounce already. So this is mirroring Bitcoin pretty well. We get 5-minute. It's awkward one because if you're not already in an existing long, like from like maybe this change of character after we bounced off the gold pocket, 786 kind of area, like similar to what we were like watching and preparing for with Bitcoin here. The fib pull from here to here, 30-minute order block. Then it's kind of awkward to try to jump in on the continuation because you can get, it can immediately come up against you around this area. So you can wait for the breakout, retest, and higher high, and jump in on the continuation and see if you have the Wyckoff or inverse head and shoulders target hit. That suggestive target is pretty high. It's suggesting that we can come back up to as high as 138.63, and from here to there, that's a like a 7% move. We have liquidity right above this high. We have supply right here. So yeah, if we get that break and you're already in an existing trade, then awesome. The higher risk trade is trying to get it on the continuation from here. So maybe if we get a pullback, you can use fibs from the low to the high to see where we could pull back to for an entry, and then watch the highs and hope for the continuation to the measurable target. You can go in on the pullback, retest, break a structure higher high with a stop loss guard below here, but it's a bit higher risk. Yeah, but the momentum-based target, if this were to occur, is up here. Just gotta watch the front run exit plan with the liquidity above these highs here that could induce us to come back down before we hit that measurable target. That's Solana. Now we were asked to look at something else here. Kyle entered the live late. What do you think is happening right now in the market, and when will the bleeding for Bitcoin end? why buy a bearish market? You can buy the internal pathing. So you don't, even if it's like the market's bearish, yeah, you'd probably be more successful focusing on shorts, being a one-dimensional trader while the macro trend is going down. But it doesn't mean you can't trade long or buys internally when you know it's going to bounce, right? There's tons and tons of opportunities happening all the time. It's just about knowing the probability of the pathing, right? So being at a value area low, getting the bullish change of character, you can just take the quick path for the bounce up. But yeah, if you want to be, you'll have less opportunities, but if you want to have a higher win rate, you could always trade alongside the macro trend. All right, and then like, for example, this double top and down. Because you normally get more follow through when you're trading alongside the trend. Like you normally will break beyond your normal measurable targets. Like in this scenario where we're at this double top at the value area high where you target the value area low, we had a lot more follow through telling you that you can hold your trade, especially during this moment. You'd wait for the opposing change of character, but you instead get the break of structure continuation, then you can hold your trade. But yeah, I kind of went over that already there, Justin, man. On-chain data suggests that we're at like bear market low conditions, which is insane. Like we may not be down very much from the all-time high. I know some people are scared, but the on-chain analytics suggests that we're at like bear market low conditions for some tools. Like for example, if we look at the supply and profit and loss, this is the percentage of the supply and profit. Look how close we are to capitulating. This green box zone is where like over 50% of the supply is being held at a loss, and we're already almost there. It's nuts. So that shows you evidence of new investors coming in, and those new investors are now holding at a loss. Basically, people bought the top. And like the last time we were at this low of a level where about 64% of the people were holding, or 62% of people holding Bitcoin. Yeah, sorry, my brain's all confuffled right now. 62% of the supply is being held in a profit. And the last time that occurred was when Bitcoin was worth 26,000. Which is nuts. So we're in equivalent conditions in terms of supply being the profit than we were when Bitcoin was at 26K while being at like 86K. If we come all the way down to capitulation, I'm expecting the price to be around like 72 to 65K. And that would be like the bear market bottom conditions that we had when Bitcoin was at like 16K. So if we make it down that low, which I'm expecting to be the absolute bottom, it would be an amazing buy opportunity or long opportunity if you wanted to trade in futures. But we're kind of at the last leg before getting down to that state of capitulation. Zooming out, the bigger picture, going to the daily, like we just mitigated a daily order block. We're at the equilibrium point of that order block. We got a little bit of demand down to 74.5K, like locally, which also aligns with these previous highs here as support. So if we're going to get a bounce before going to a state of capitulation, it would be like now, where we'll be at this point right here. Otherwise, I think we'll be capitulating. If we get acceptance into this valley area, it's kind of, yeah, we're capitulating at that point. Miners will be mining Bitcoin at a loss. So they'll be holding. They won't be contributing to the sell pressure. And a massive amount of supply will be being held at a loss. And historically, that has given us the best buy opportunity in history for Bitcoin every single cycle. The fact that we're there that quickly and it's only during a pullback during like an evolving bull market. It's just absolutely wild to me. And with rates coming down, people should have more purchasing power coming soon. Alex Crypto, what's up, man? How you doing? Did you miss the giveaway? Yeah, unfortunately, man. We had 2 winners. One for a $6,000 account, and the other for like a free month to join the community and try out the courses and stuff. Kyle, I no longer use chain exposed charts for Nupal and REPL. I don't, because Glassnode updates every day. Chain exposed, it had that like 2.5-3 month period where it didn't update at all, and because it wasn't reliable, I just paid for Glassnode. The last time it updated was today, so it's updating now, but it waited until I invested in something before it started updating again. But yeah, I wanted to make sure I was able to give you guys this data so we could prepare for the absolute tops and bottoms, right? But yeah, you can use it now though. It's working fine now. I just wanted to switch to something more reliable, because that chain exposed is using Glassnode's API to give you the data. Peachland buying Solana right now. Nice, man. Yeah, DCA is a good spot to DCA. It's structural valley area low. It's like, honestly, perfect spot to prepare to buy. Like macro wise. And if you're looking for like a longer term exit plan on that spot buy, you can aim for the valley area high at 170. While being super mindful of the point control at 144.09. Yeah, that is a good spot to buy. We could sweep this local high here, get the SFP. Then we look for the bearish change of character if we get that pullback from the sweep. Let's see if we get it. 3 minute, we don't have a proper pullback until way down here. So we won't flip bearish on that until we break this low. But if we get the SFP pull, maybe a sweep pullback, maybe a higher high, like a secondary sweep for this local, then yeah, we could come right back down to these local lows. Yeah, we didn't sweep it. We're close though. Do I believe crypto cycles will continue to exist, or do you think that after the institutions join, everything will change with no more classic crypto cycles? I think this cycle has been insanely unique since it started. I mean, this bull run, sorry. So I do think that the crypto cycles, there's going to be cycles within the economy that are always going to exist, right? But inflation and all this background noise has caused a shift in all of that. And yeah, the institutional adoption, the halving event timing, everything's very different. So if I go back to where's my macro chart over here? These green lines that you see in my chart, these green vertical lines right here. These are halving events that I've marked that occurred in the past. And if you look throughout history, when we're in like a consultative state, we normally have our halving event and we start our bull market after the halving event occurs. That was a rule that everyone followed for knowing when to buy Bitcoin for a rally, right? So we had one here. We rallied up from the price point of $13 all the way up to $1,000. Then we had the halving event here. We went from $645 all the way up to $2,800. Then we had our halving event here. Then we broke out, and we ran all the way up to like 70K. But this time around, like, we had all of our bull market conditions met, other than the halving event rule that everyone used to follow during. This is when we jumped in our long, but we didn't have our halving event until we reached the all-time highs, which is unique. So the supply has evolved in the really bullish spot. And we started consolidating during that moment. A lot of miners start to offload funds after a halving event. So we have like first initial pullback usually that it occurs because the cost of mining has gone up during that moment. And we got that pullback like immediately. And then we had like a little bit of longer term range one. But we had a lot of investors jump in and jump out during this moment, kind of extending our bull market conditions because we ranged for so freaking long, like 220 days, which in itself is already insanely uncommon. Like normally when we start a bull market run for Bitcoin, we just sprint, absolutely sprint. Maybe the longest we cool down for is 30 days, like max. And then we start absolutely running, getting exhausted, and we have these aggressive bear markets. So I think that what's changed with the timing of the halving event, supply conditions shift, the global liquidity, there's so many variables and factors going on right now in the background that are suggesting that we're going to actually continue to go up higher before calling this at the top. Like, so I'm personally targeting around like 160 to like 200K before I think that the Newport chart and all the on-chain metrics that we normally follow for calling the tops to actually fully be met. But I do think that retail is going to have a huge part of that, and I'm just wondering what the conduit's going to be. What's the spark that's going to bring retail back? Because right now it just seems like institutions are completely taking over, and retail's just jumping ship. We all love Sterling. Hey Cap, check liquidation amount at 103K plus. Ooh, let's take a peek. 103K, you said. So that value was not a thing until around here, eh? So we can pull. How old is this chart going to be? 17 days. Okay, so Bitcoin, DC, so 17-day look back. So we need to have a 1 month pull on this chart. Yeah, you're right. We do have a decent amount of liquidity there. The biggest cluster on the monthly is 111. Yeah, 111, 112K. And we had a leg down there on the, I think, a 4-hour pullback level. I think now it's 108K. Yeah, so you'd definitely want to block this zone on your chart around 112K because it's likely going to cause a reversal with that much exit liquidity just waiting. Let's look back at the 2-week. And that's the cluster that you might be seeing. No, that's 96K to 98K. Yeah, the liquidity that you're looking at, man, it's likely a key. Yeah, so right here we have this pullback and lower low. We have some liquidity cluster up there, but there are bigger liquidity clusters that are prior to it and just after it too. I think the main one we have to watch first is at 97K. Just above at this high right here. So this could be a big problem here when we get up here. We had that previous point of control there and tons of liquidity resting above this high. We got a long way to go before we need to worry about that. Kyle, you are too handsome for YouTube. Ah, thanks, man. Wild. Okay. Next request was to look at, where was it? Ethereum XPL. What is it? XPL again? Oh, we don't have an XPL chart. All plasma. This is the daily. Yeah, this thing. And we only looked at it right after it was created. Okay, there's our downtrending momentum. Jeez. Okay, we didn't have a proper pullback here. At least not in the daily. Our 4-hour key levels up here. This is the October 10th crash, so we've reclaimed that low. Nice. We're just creating a 4-hour order block right below our VWAP. Pretty darn bullish. We have an order block right above our head, unfortunately. That could cause us to come back down and retest the VWAP and that 4-hour bullish order block. Okay, and then zoom in on the hourly. Now we're going against these previous lows. We have internal momentum. Let's go to the 15-minute. So we have a good key level for a short. Let's see how we do, but yeah, right now, right here, if we broke that, we'd have the confluence of, we might not get it, but if we do break this, we have decent confluence for a short. The downtrending momentum, hitting a head off of that, we'd lose the VWAP, right, and we get that bearish change of character on the 15-minute. If we get a close below this orange line, if we get that close, then we'd be watching for potential bounces against us until we hit our target down here. So I'll be targeting this 15-minute order block and this short, preparing for an opposing change of character to get out. Otherwise, yeah, we also have to watch this as a potential barrier along the way. But yeah, your ultimate target would be here if this broke. So if this, then prepare for that. If we end up getting higher, instead, this is our next spot that we prepare for shorts. Well, that is XPL. And it looks like a decent setup, honestly. It's similar to the setup that I took yesterday. I was at a member's house yesterday, going through XRP, like teaching about like setups and stuff like that and what we look for. And I actually ended up being able to take one together. So we're watching Bitcoin's chart in confluence with XRPs, and I'll show you the setup that we took and why it was a decent setup. So on the right side, you're seeing my chart on Bitcoin. It's over here is Bitcoin. And the left side is the XRP chart. And I'm trying to remember, where did we jump in that short? It's just yesterday. So this looks like it. Yeah, it was this here. So here we had supply. And we grabbed liquidity from above that supply zone. And then we had the bearish change the character right here. And we had this uptrending momentum that was lost during that moment. So we took the short and targeted the low. And it was a pretty decent short. We had Bitcoin on our side too. Bitcoin was coming into its supply. And it's hard to see on this chart here. It's the 15-minute side, and this is a 3-minute side. But this little doji right here, and this bearish engulfing candle was supply, and we hit our head off of the floor of that supply while we had this confluence occur with Bitcoin. So if you have Bitcoin on your side while you trade alts, they're way more likely to play out. Because it's not very common that altcoins have relative strength against Bitcoin. So it's good to, when you're doing your analysis on an altcoin setup, to see if Bitcoin also has confluences for short as well. And then at that point, when they both confirm simultaneously, you can choose between the two of them. Whatever one gives you the best R&R, or whatever one has the least amount of barriers, or percentage gain towards its target. All right, let's pull up Ethereum for you guys here. ETH, how you doing? ETH coming into supply right now. It's ugly, but yeah, we got that Wyckoff structure. Flip bullish during this moment, pull back to our gold pocket 76 right here. So once you flip bullish from this break, you wait for your pullback. You wait for you can look for 3 minute or 3-minute opposing change of character to call the top. So once you know the top is in, then you pull from the low to the high to find your golden pocket. And you still want to wait for, me personally at least, I still want to wait for the structural evidence of support, which didn't really occur until we broke above this local high here. And now we are, you'd watch this as your primary barrier along the way, but now we're kind of breaching past it and trying to use it as support, warning us that we could have that continuation. We didn't exactly have a proper pullback to it on the 5-minute chart, but we are starting to mitigate this supply now. So we could watch, once we're in supply, you want to watch the top of the supply, right above here, so we can get liquidity taken, and that can cause reversal too. You can mark this as a wick and prepare for a potential sweep and return back to the most recent pullback. Yeah, we're bouncing off of a previous value area high right now as we speak. But I'd really like to see it get back inside a structural value area at $3,000. We got a long way for that. We broke this downtrend momentum and retested it in confluence with that golden pocket bounce. So that's a really good long opportunity there. The technical target for this falling wedge posture I would actually make it more, more local. The technical target's here. It's for 2,890. So I'll mark this to see how well it does, but this is, not the all-time high. Target. And we got our key level break that initiated it was here. From here to here. So this was the falling wedge break. We confirmed this move. Get the bullish change character. We got the pullback for the retest entry, and we have supply along the way that you got to watch. But this is the measurable technical target right here. I hope that helps you out. Just watch out for any opposing bearish changes of character in this area right here. And that starts at around 2,829. Bitcoin might print this bearish SFP. The 15-minute SFP technical target is this low right here. But we have VWAP on against us, so just be careful trading something like that. I'd rather, if you're going to be jumping in on a short from here, that you wait for the bearish change of character and not just take the sweep. Especially since our pullback level is so darn low, like super low down here. So if we get 2 candle pullback and then a higher high sweep, you target to that low, then hope for the change of character for the continuation. Do you consider previous FRV levels, if already tested, are you fair value gaps, or are you looking for untested levels only? I prefer untested levels. Obviously, I think most people do prefer the untested levels, but if they're only just like ceiling tapped, and it depends on what it is. If they're ceiling tapped, like kind of like this, I will consider the supply or demand still a threat. Like this is supply. We only floor tapped it right here. So I'm still going to consider that a potential threat if we come back to return to it, especially since the fact that when we have that pullback, you got to visualize the order flow and that there likely is going to be liquidity here in the form of stop losses, in the form of liquidation levels. That could also help induce a reversal as a form of supply. So if it's a demand zone or a supply zone, a single tap usually isn't enough to make me not trust it anymore. But with an order block, I'm way less likely to trust it after it's been tapped once. Like there's an order block here, a 30-minute order block from here to here, right? And we ceiling tapped it in confluence with the golden pocket right here. So I don't really trust that 30-minute order block confluence anymore. If that makes sense. But if it was inside of an area of demand, like a strong demand zone, let's say, for example, we pumped here and then consolidated and then pumped, building a base of demand here, then I would probably trust the next tap off of that. But it all kind of depends, man. I hope that answer helps you out. But if it's supply demand, I usually will. I think of it like armor. Oh, I got a chart. Alarm go off. But yeah, I think of demand or supply like armor. The more you hit it, the more you kind of chip away at that armor until eventually we break it. And the order books is a cool tool to help guide you into knowing how strong that armor is. If you have the massive sell walls here with limit sell walls, then we know that likely is going to still be honored as resistance. Or if we have buy walls at the lows or in demand zone, then we know that there's likely still participants trying to guard that area. But I hope that helps you out. Fair value gap, fixed range volume profile levels. So yeah, definitely. It's actually the whole point of them. So if we come down to test a value area low or value area high, you can do it forever, and I'll keep trusting it. It's not something you can mitigate, because if you think about it, a value area, and what makes a value area, it's interest, right? The market makers want us to range in these areas as much as we can until we induce a decent amount of liquidity on the side, and whatever side has the most liquidity is usually the side that we break. Or if they're trying to induce liquidity above us for a setup down at these lows, what you kind of want to look for in preparation for something like that, if you see us like leave the value area, we confirm it as resistance either off the lows or off the value area itself, and then you see a bunch of liquidity start to stack above us, you know a bunch of people are preparing to short out of that value area. But when we return back to it, it then becomes a potential exit plan for market makers, because they induced all that above side liquidity to help them with an exit plan for when we go back to return to it. But value areas, man, they can last over 1,000 days. You can stay trading inside the same range for 1,000+ days. Time actually makes them stronger. It doesn't make them weaker. Like other things, like a fair value gap, for example, time makes them weaker because orders fill within those zones. Or an order block, same thing. Order blocks is a sign of residual orders. So if you tap into that, residual orders are likely got filled, so you can't trust it anymore. But yeah, value area lows, value area highs, points of control, they get stronger and stronger over time, not weaker and weaker. All right, guys, I've got to head out. Not really much. Congrats to anyone who might have gotten in on the setup. Right now, I am kind of got my bear goggles on, depending on how we perform against this supply. If we have, I really need to have that pullback so we can have at least a safe key level to prepare for a short off of, because I'm not touching this SFP unless we get something like that. So we can have at least a key level that you can target. So if we pull back and then we get a local SFP, I might take that and target that low, hope for the change of character to get the continuation back down to these lows. If we consolidate inside of this supply here, guys, then we're likely to have continuation structure rather than reversal structure. Just be aware of that. And this might spark a reversal, like finally. I know a lot of people are going to depend on higher time frame changes of character first, like the hourly isn't until way up here, right above that supply, where we flip bullish there. The 4 hour is way the heck up here at 493K. So you kind of want to have a pullback and lower low so you can have a 4 hour change of character at a much lower level to help you plan for move up. We have ranged in low levels like this before for months before reversing, even after massive crashes like this. So just be aware of that mentally. Have that kind of mindset going in that this might not be the bottom. This might just be a pullback to help set up the bottom, right? And we kind of want that. We want to have that healthy pullback and then higher high and the higher time frames so we can have more trade participants enter in off the break. And not very many trade participants are going to try to perform a swing trade off of like a 15-minute candle change of character, for example, right? That's all scalp trading stuff. So I am kind of hopeful that we get a larger time frame pullback first before reversing. If you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me in the Discord at any time. I'm always available, guys. Kyle, does it make sense to short Bitcoin with SFPs? Right now, the win rate is higher for short trades, and I could tell you that based on like the data that we got from backtesting. if it wants to load. But yeah, we back tested the crap out of SFPs lately. I don't know the exact win rate, but I've noticed that shorts have been winning a lot more lately than longs with SFPs, at least on the 15-minute time frame. A really good time frame to SFP trade off of is the 30-minute. You get like about a 43% chance of getting a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio on SFPs right now, and you get a 48% chance if you're targeting the body structure instead of the wick technical target. You have like a 70% win rate if you only take SFP trades that have the MFI that is overbought above the 70 level or oversold below the 30 level. So if you want to be super patient, you'll lose about 60% of your opportunities, but you'll have a much higher win rate if you focus on the MFI SFPs here. I have my MFI kind of hidden. Where is it? Here it is. So right now we are oversold on the MFI. We're at 37.4. So this is basically telling us if you want to have that higher win rate for an SFP, that this is not the SFP you want to take. You want to be above the 70 level. You want to be below the 30. 30 is great for longs, not good for shorts. So this is the one I would not take. We need to have that. At least a pullback. I would prefer you take the bearish change of character than the SFP. Just saving you from a potential bad trade there. All right, cool guys. You have a great day. Congrats to the giveaway winners. Thank you so much to all the people that are subscribing and sharing. We're slowly climbing up. Our next goal is to try to get to 8,000 subscribers and eventually make our way to 10K. But yeah, I kind of got bear goggles ready for a potential short here. Just got to give it this picture to paint. So prepare the signals that I might be giving a short signal soon. So long as the evidence is there that we're going to be reversing, I'll give the signal. All right, guys, you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next live on Monday.